9 years of that has been working with a homeowner board, just like what you see up here. And I can say from experience that volunteerism is the lifeblood of any community. And these folks up here that are willing to volunteer their time, not just these candidates, but also the committees and the different ones that they volunteer their time to make the community a better place. And I think that with transition in a community that is as old as Province is, it's been a long time coming. But I think it's an exciting time. I can't wait for you to be able to see what that looks like. Like I said, that's most of my experience is working with a homeowner board. And it's a whole lot easier. You have your boss right there in front of you. And it just makes things a whole lot easier to manage. So I'm excited for Province. I want to thank everybody for coming out. What a turnout. This is really, really great. So before we get started, I wanted just to say, those of you that might have been at the last advisory committee meeting, I just shared with everyone a little bit of my experience and how much of an impact that volunteers make on a community. And I just want to see if we could start this off today with just a special hand of thank you to these candidates up here that are willing to give their time, sacrifice for the community. Absolutely, and I think with the candidates that we have, and you have the flyers there, I think even those that might not be elected, I think that we have amazing opportunity for some committee members or whatever that might be, because we have a lot of talent up here on the stage. Just a couple of things. The questions, if you still have a question, please see one of the ladies in the back. They'll get that up when it comes time for the open questions. They will bring those up to the ladies up here that's going to be seeing this for everyone. Really?
Oh, you have to maybe talk.
Like this? That's interesting. I don't think I've ever had to do that before. So all right, so this is for the live stream people that are in. For some reason, they cannot hear unless I'm talking into both microphones. Wow. I don't think I've ever done this before. That's interesting. So, okay. We'll go. All right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. I just wanted to make sure to greet you all today. And what I was saying earlier, the last time I spoke to you all, was my vision my hope is that you see what a resident-led community looks like. And a lot of what that looks like is exactly what you see up here. Volunteerism, the backbone of the community. So because that's my desire and what I want this community to see, I thought, what better opportunity than this meeting than to have it emceed by volunteers. So we have over here is Linda Bachtold and Barb Coutil. They are the chair of the advisory committee and the chair of the budget and finance committee. And they have graciously agreed to run the meeting today. And I think that that's really cool. So let's give them a hand as well. All right, and so without further ado, I'll shut up and I'm going to turn it over to them. Now, do they need to speak into both mics as well? Okay, and even the candidates, so this will be interesting. Try that.
Okay, test. Can you hear on streaming and? We're good? Not good? Closer and louder, right? Got it? Okay. Michelle, can you advance 2 slides, please? Thank you. As Linda and I put this together, we wanted to focus on moving forward for Province. And this beautiful flower is an Easter lily that blooms on a cactus. It's a cactus flower, and it blooms once a year at Easter time. It, to me, represented new growth and new opportunity and looking forward to a whole new start for us. And that Province, the flower itself, the beautiful pink flower, is Province. But if you look in the center of that flower, there's all kinds of growth, and it's so beautiful. And that center are these people right here sitting on this stage. They're gonna be the ones that will move us forward. So let's begin.
The voting begins tomorrow. If you don't receive an email to vote from Election Buddy, you need to contact CCMC immediately. You need to find out why you didn't get it and what the issue is, and if you can correct it so you do get the election ballot. Voting options and timing will be fully explained by Election Buddy. You can vote up to 5 candidates, 1 per candidate. In other words, you can't vote one person 5 times, if that makes sense to you. You have to pick up to 5 candidates. There will be an abstain option on the ballot, allowing you to be counted as voting in the quorum, but not selecting any candidate if that's your choice. You must return your ballot to be counted as quorum, and it's important that we meet quorum. Once voting begins, only Election Buddy has access to the votes.
Now, this is some hints for you as attendees. You all got the candidate snapshot sheet. That is in the order by first name, alphabetically, going through from Bob to Terry. So you'll be able to follow along. You'll be able to know who is speaking at all times. And if you look at this sheet, it has a very brief bio because we had limited space. They'll be adding to this bio. And there are 8 questions answered on this form. It's answered whether they own or rent their home, whether they're a full or part-time resident, how long have they been in province, what section do they live in, and do they live in a villa or a single-family residence? Are they retired, yes or no? What committees they have served on within province, and that's it forever. It's not that they're serving on them now. It's that they have or are, either one. It also has a column that asks if they have board experience. So have they ever been on a board of directors before, yes or no? And have they ever gone through a transition before, where they've transitioned from declarant to resident-led board? So there's a lot of information on here that will help you make an informed decision. Oh, response order, sorry. I gotta do this one, sorry. Also, in order to try to accommodate responses so that each person has the ability to respond first, and we're going to vary that. For the bios, we're going to start with Bob, and they will work their way directly down and finish with Terry. The first question is going to start with Bob, and it's going to move down to Jim. We're going to stop at Jim, and then Mike is going to be moved down to Terry. And then we're going to work our way back to the middle with Joe. So they will finish with Joe and Jim. They will be the last people in their groups to answer. Then we're going to start at the middle and work our way back, okay? So then Bob becomes the last one to answer the second question. And we're going to alternate that way throughout the prepared questions. When it comes to the resident questions, we're going to draw names, and we have each of these people's name in a bowl. We will draw a name and ask an impromptu question. Those will be the impromptu questions. These they've had a chance to review and look at before answering. Thank you.
Just want to note that we have 2 candidates that we were aware of that were not going to be here today. And as far as the questions go, they have given us responses, and Barbara will be answering for Bruce, and I will be answering for Kurt. But be noted that we are literally reading what their answer to the questions are. Okay, we're going to start with the candidate introductions, and each of the candidate is limited to 2 minutes. So we'll start with Bob, and go ahead, Bob, tell us.
Wow, this is something else. I'm Bob Rutolo. Some people know me as Dr. Bob. I've been in Providence for 19 years. And during that time, I've served on a number of committees. I was on the AC for a number of years. And in that capacity, I was on the AC when Providence was owned by the banks. And then Meritage took over, and I was on during that period of time. So I've been through that sort of transition for a long period of time. When I came to Providence, I was really excited about moving to Providence because it is a beautiful community. And even today, I still see it as a beautiful community with great possibilities. I remember when I pulled into that front entrance and saw those beautiful waterfalls and the environment around us. I knew at that time this is the place I wanted to be. Matter of fact, when I walked through the facility 19 years ago and I looked at it, I said, wow, I can find a home here. Not much has changed. In some respects, a lot has changed. We are in a different life cycle of this community now, and I am so excited about that because now we are in transition. This now becomes our community. Meritage's goals are different than our goals. Meritage's vision is different than our vision. They are ending their vision. We're beginning ours or continuing ours as owners of this complex. I've worked at the executive level for many, many years. I have my own consulting firm. I've been an executive coach. I've consulted to organizations on their organization culture, how to improve performance, how to build around core values and beliefs, and how to be able to be very profitable. I'm looking for that opportunity here. We have an opportunity to improve how we're currently operating. And I must say, when I look across this table here, I have an awesome, awesome group of people who are here willing to work with you. Thank you for your time. I look forward to answering your questions.
I'm putting on my Bruce hat now, and I did fail to tell you, we have an official timer who was volunteered to do it. Eric is in the back, and he has timers for 2 minutes for this process and 1 minute for the question process. So he'll be calling time on all of our candidates. I am reading exactly what Bruce wrote. I've asked Barb to read my request for your vote. I've been actively involved through both the Finance Committee and Transition Committee and would like to continue as one of the initial resident board. I'm a full-time resident. The board will need someone who is familiar with the finances of the HOA and its budgeting process. During the time on these committees, I've met and worked with our management company and other vendors. My history of working with customers as a commercial loan officer, starting and running my own multi-million-dollar business, and even as a sergeant supervising nuclear firing crews has given me a comfort in working with other people for a common goal. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Deb Malley. Can you all hear me? Thank you. My husband, John, and I have lived in Providence since 2018, along with our greyhound, Jake. I am very happy to say that I love volunteering in this community. I think volunteer service is so important here, to echo what Jeff said earlier. I was on the committee for Province Life magazine for 4 years, 3 of them as the managing editor, and at the same time I wrote numerous articles. I am currently serving on the social committee, which supports Province Lifestyles, and also on the transition committee with Bob, where, as he said, we have gotten some insight into vendor services that are provided here. In addition, I was a province ambassador for 3 years. You know, why did you all move here? Probably for the same reason my husband and I did. This is a beautiful place with wonderful amenities. So now the new board has to make sure that we are operationally and financially well managed. What this will make is for satisfied, happy residents and help maintain our property values. I have a 35-year career in the insurance industry. Please don't hold that against me. And I think that that helps position me, along with my Province Life experience, to be a good board member. I have a degree in business management from Elmhurst University in Elmhurst, Illinois, and also an insurance industry designation, commercial property casualty underwriter. Thank you all for coming out today. Please vote thoughtfully, and thank you for considering me for the board.
I'm not a great public speaker, but I'm going to try. Okay. I'm going to tell you a little about me. First, I'm a father of 3 wonderful children. They live in different parts of the country, from Alaska to Oklahoma. I've got 3 grandchildren that live in Alaska that I love to go visit whenever I can. I enjoy sports, fishing, hunting, working out at the gym, reading, and working on my BW Carmagia. I've lived here in Providence for a little over 4.5 years now. I love it here, and I want to make it my final home. I'm proud to live in such a beautiful place like this. I'm a retired volunteer firefighter of 18 years. I believe service is important to an effective community. I graduated from BYU with a degree in mechanical engineering. I spent a number of years in aerospace and finally ended up my career in air pollution monitoring. I've been a member of the City of Maricopa's Community Emergency Response Team for 4 years. I was a member of the County Search and Rescue before that. I believe that serving the place where you live in a volunteer organization is important to the community. I served as the president of the board of directors for the local water board with a $10 million budget. While serving there, I was responsible for budgeting, operations, personnel, as well as working with the public. While on the board, we were able to maintain a budget as well as increase rates as required and still keep the public happy with our service. So, in closing, I love this place. Like Deb here, and Bob here, when I first drove through the gates, I was with my parents, and we both just fell in love with the waterfalls and the facilities. I thought, man, we're going to be on a permanent vacation. Thank you.
Hello. It's good to see such a large turnout here. It makes me feel good. So I'm Jim Corbin. Obviously, I'm running for the board. I've lived in Providence since 2022. I'm currently on the design review committee. I went on that committee shortly after coming here. I have 15 years of board experience between Washington State, Buckeye, Arizona, and I've been trained by Carpenter Hazelwood in Arizona law when I was in Buckeye and on that HOA there. I have an extensive background in leadership, both from military, government, and private sector. I worked 15 years in Washington State as a reserve deputy, and my final rank was lieutenant when I left. So what I think I bring to the community is I have a very short view of things that I like to do. And that is, I have 2 mottos. I like to manage by walking around. I like to see things, and I like to see people, right? So every place I walk, whether it's the trails, through the community centers, out by the pool, every day that I walk, I see things that need to be fixed. Some small, some not small, right? But it's the attention to detail that we need to have to make our community and our facilities better. The other thing is, in my last job, they called me the why guy. And why is because if you ever heard the who, what, when, where, why, well, a course I took said start with why. Because if you don't understand the why behind things, it's hard to make them better. So whatever you look for, figure out the why first, and that will normally bring better results and give you better lasting change. So for where we're going in Providence, that's what I hope to do. I hope to be on the board and lead us to a much better outcome for our future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joe Wujak. My wife and I moved here 3 years ago. 2 months after moving here, there was an ad in Providence Life they needed help on the advisory committee. My wife looked at me and said, "That's the perfect job for you." I think she was trying to get rid of me, at least for some of the time. Anyway, I joined the advisory committee about 2.5 years ago. Have been very active on that committee. I write the articles for that committee and have focused on facilities and roads, mainly in terms of putting in input that area, in those areas, because that's my background. I was in the hospital last year and had nothing to do, so I designed a map of Maricopa and this area, actually. So both Maricopa and the historical locations in Maricopa, as well as the map of this area that's been circulating around. I also, after receiving the reserve study, put on a couple presentations to help our community understand what that is about. I have served as an ambassador on the, or in the ambassador program here, which I think is a great program. In my other HOA, I was president for 6 years and served on what we called the Architectural Control Committee for 12 years. And I'm also active with the Maricopa Historical Society. Again, when I was in the hospital, I wrote a book on Maricopa that you may have seen in our library here, and it's actually for sale, helping out the museum. My background, I have bachelor's and master's degrees in industrial technology and mechanical engineering technology, and I was a professor, so thank you.
Okay, I'm speaking for Kurt, and what I'm going to do is read his bio that is on your sheet. And I'm doing that because...
Here, you want me to hold it for you?
Okay. What I'm going to do is just tell you specifically what is on your sheet. Kurt, we weren't aware that he was not going to be here till just recently, so he did send in the answer to the questions, but did not send us a bio. So he says, 4 years as an elected public school board of director member in Michigan, I supported finance and building committees, ensured election compliance, and reviewed financial audits. 8 years on Detroit Color Council Board of Directors, 2 years as president. He holds a BBA, Executive MBA, Project Management, Professional PMP, certification, held various management roles in automotive industry, overseeing large teams and multi-million-dollar budgets. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Great. My name is Linda Garrett. I am currently a professor at Grand Canyon University. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting, a master's degree in global management, and a doctorate in education with a emphasis in organizational development. I've been at Grand Canyon for since 2015. Before that, I worked at AT&T. My primary role there was over resource optimization and process and project management. And I so I managed offices in the 5-state Midwest region. And then as far as volunteerism, I've been volunteering, as far as I know, since I was born. Through the church, I started volunteering through the church and in our church, we call them BODs. As children, we went out and helped, went to nursing homes, sat with elderly people, reading to them. I was a Girl Scout, so did a lot of volunteering there. I went up through the ranks and even was a Girl Scout leader as a volunteer. And currently, I've volunteer with my church. I'm also on, I spent about 20 years volunteering as for the volunteer income tax program in both Illinois and in Arizona. For the city of Mesa, I taught the training to the volunteers and certified them, and ran 2 sites during the tax season as a volunteer. And, okay.
Hello, my name is Roberto Sierra. I moved here 3 years ago. I originally grew up in New Mexico, Las Cruces, New Mexico. I graduated there in 1980 with an engineering degree. I moved to California, and there I developed my career, all of it in California, for 43 years. As an engineer, I'm more of a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. I'm a part of the engine and not the outer shell of projects. So I look for opportunities to make improvements, and I think I've got a knack for spotting problems and looking for root causes to resolve them. And I think being an outsider with very little community experience, like a lot of these people have, are quite qualified. I think I'm going to bring some outside views and some outside observations that maybe they would not have seen. And I'm looking forward to just, see what I can do to help. I've got a lot of objections to the way things have been. And I thought if I don't make an effort to try and change it, then I'm part of the problem. So I hope you'll consider all these candidates. I think any of them are going to make a major improvement in the way province has been run. Thank you.
Okay, the original stereo system. My name is Cheryl Page. I have been in province from the very beginning. We actually bought a dirt lot through Angle. We were the 6th house to close. So we have been through and seen it all. I recently retired about 2 or so years ago in the healthcare management and insurance field, and working 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. COVID was not the way I wanted to ease into retirement, but we have to pivot, and that's exactly what we have to do here. I was one of the first boots on the ground, shall we say, many years ago for when the hurricanes hit Homestead, Florida. And I had the undaunting task of going down there for the insurance company to certify that these homes were gone, get those claims in, fast track them, because these were lives that were destroyed. And that's what I'm looking at, hoping to do here with province. We're not under any destruction, but this is our opportunity to take hold of our community. This is our chance to do it. And the first couple of years are going to be quite important in the building the foundation of province. And I couldn't very well, in my right mind, sit back and say, well, there'll be plenty of people out there that will volunteer to do it. I felt that I at least have to step up and give it my all. I hope you would consider me. Thank you. You're on.
It's my turn. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Terry Clark. I worked for 37 years with the Southern California Edison Company. I spent 33 years climbing poles and 4.5 years being a logistics manager, managing over multi-million dollar projects. I had 134 people that I was responsible for work for every day. That's just what I did for a living. Then I retired and came here to Maricopa. I was seated on a board for 13 years that I just currently exited. And during my tenure, I was VP for 4 years. I was a member at large, which included my duties of doing all ARC requests, doing the landscape maintenance problems that were affecting, making sure we complied with all of the rules and or making sure information was conveyed to the city if we were making any changes. I also spent 9.5 years. We started the Maricopa Police Volunteer System. And I was also instrumental in the CERT program in its development when I came here. I spent 9.5 years working as that. So I finally got through with all of those silly things, and then I turned over, and I've been working with the VOICE program, PCA VOICE. That started last April, and I compiled all the information and data that it was brought forward, submitted over 100 work orders to CCMC for work, and then we went on to, I'm trying to work with Global Water, the Arizona Corporate Commission, against Global Water. That's been a 2.5-year project. We were instrumental, this group that I'm working with, was reducing the rate increase from 19 point.
Michelle, the next slide, please. Michelle, the next slide, please. Okay. We're going to be starting with the questions here, and just a reminder to the audience, if you had any questions, you were given a sheet of paper, I believe, that you could write your question down on. If you do have one, please pass it to the center so that they can pick it up and bring them up here, okay? Okay. Question number 1. Have you read and understand the governing documents of Province Community Association? This includes the Articles of Incorporation, the bylaws, and the CC&Rs. 2, are you willing to attend a new board boot camp facilitated by CCMC? And 3, are you aware of any potential conflicts of interest?
To answer the first question, yes, I am aware. And I have already gone through that training and would be pleased to go through it again because I learn a little bit every time I go through it. Do I see any reason why I should not be qualified? The answer is no. So does that answer your questions? Thank you.
One thing I didn't mention, by the way, each person has 1 minute to respond to the question.
This one's
Oh. Sorry about that. First of all, if I may, one thing I love about HOAs and that kind of organization is that the CC&Rs provide a great deal of structure on how you have to operate and operate within certain regulations. So the important thing is how do we organize around that process to make it most efficient and effective and for the best return for the homeowners. So I like the structure. We have a good path to go on. It's a matter of making it successful with a great team around us. Thank you.
And I'm reading on behalf of Bruce, and his answer to this question is, I would look forward to boot camp as an opportunity to discover items that are needed that I didn't know about. From reading the PCA documents and the meetings with the vendors, I am not aware of any conflict of interest. Thank you.
Well, I don't suppose that it's appropriate to answer yes, yes, no. Of course, I've looked over the bylaws, and they are a boilerplate set of rules that were put together by the original builder here more than 20 years ago. Obviously, they need updating. That's a job for the board to take care of that, as well as in the future look for opportunities for consistent application of the rules. Also, my colleague Jim Corbin mentioned another set of documents, and that's the Arizona state statutes that govern boards. and those will also be very, very important to the newly elected board. Thank you.
As far as the CCNRs, yeah, I've read through them numerous times, and I've heard lots of complaints about them, such as the number of plants that you have to have in your front yard. So the CCNRs need to be revised, but it's going to take some time. And as far as a boot camp, yeah, I think they're important. I really do. I think that consistent training is important. And no, I don't have any reservations about being able to serve on the board.
Thank you. So CCNRs and our governing documents. So that's the primary mission of the board of directors, is to enforce those governing documents. Do they like them? Probably not. I have a set at home that I've marked up, but in order to change those, it's going to take support from the community, because we need 67% of you to vote in favor of any changes to our governing documents. So keep that in mind. Boot camp. My answer to that is maybe. And the reason I say maybe is I'd like to know more about what it's going to entail that we won't get from our training from the attorneys, because the attorneys give us training when we come on the board. So if indeed it's training that we don't have to pay for, and training that goes above and beyond what the attorneys give us, then I would probably be interested in doing something like that. The real goal is, what's the benefit for us to be trained to support the community? So it's what's in the long game. And lastly, no, I have no things in my path to prevent me running.
I'm going to ask the candidates. The people who are viewing this on their telephones can't see your name tags. So please, before you respond to the question, can you state your first name for them so they know who's speaking? Thank you.
We're moving down this way to give everybody a chance so they're not last all the time. So we're going to come this way now.
Thank you. My name is Terry Clark. Yes, I have reviewed the bylaws and CCNRs, and what Jim has already talked about. The bylaws are still listed under the Engle, and that was in 2004. And the same for your CCNRs. We need to have a law firm go through those CCNRs and bylaws and update them. Jim was also correct. It's going to take 67% of the people to make any changes to the CCNRs. That's going to take a lot of help from you guys, our committees, our ad hoc committees. We're going to have to know all of that information so we can make an educated decision on your behalf and then get you to vote on it. Yes, I'm willing to attend any training boot camp, but again, I do take reservation. Let's make sure it's equitable and good training for the board. And no, I don't have any conflicts of interest.
My name is Cheryl Page, and I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. Yes, I have reviewed the documents of the Province Community Association, including the Articles of Incorporation in 2004, the bylaws and the existing CCNRs, which, yes, I agree, do need revisement. This will take time. And I believe that with a solid understanding of each of these, it will allow me to make informed and knowledgeable decisions on behalf of the community. If elected, I am willing to attend a new board boot camp, as will be offered to the incoming board members in order to further strengthen my understanding and effectiveness as a board member. And I am not aware of any conflicts of interest that would impair my ability to serve on the board of directors in the best interests of the province community. Thank you.
My name is Roberto Sierra. I did read the governing docs before I bought my house. I actually bought my house completely online. I never saw my house until I came here to sign the papers. So in doing that, I had to read a lot of those documents from a distance, and they were quite painful. as far as the boot camp, I would consider a boot camp. I do have some reservations. That name, the term boot camp, sounds to me a lot like cramming for finals at school. If it's legitimate training, it has something to offer, I would certainly be interested in doing that if it's a schedule that I can make, fit. And as far as conflicts of interest, I'm not aware of any. So that's what I have to say about that.
Hello again, I'm Linda Garrett, and I have read the CCNRs and bylaws and articles and corporations for province, and I've seen an update. I think it was in 2017. There was an update made to the bylaws, and then so I think it's important for us to understand the community, and I think that the bylaws and the CCNRs are important for a community, and that we need to review them periodically so that as a community, we all agree on how we're gonna live here. I am willing to attend a new board boot camp facilitated by the CCMC. Like the others said, if it's going to add value to the knowledge. I have not been on the board for okay.
You're right. Here, I'll hold it.
I'm responding for Kurt. I've read and understand the CCNRs and have no conflict of interest. Attending the training sessions with the legal team has also deepened my understanding of community management responsibilities. I think having a new board boot camp is a great idea, and I would absolutely attend. It would be an excellent opportunity for our new board members to get to know one another and start off on the right foot as a team.
I guess I'm last. Yes, yes, and yes. In terms of the governing documents, of course I read them when I was purchasing our home. I have a lot of background in terms of interpreting them. I taught a class in contract documents in an architectural engineering technology program at the college where I was a professor. Are they any different than most? No. Do they need changes? Yes. Hopefully we could work in that direction. In terms of a boot camp, I would not have a problem. I've been to boot camps, and usually you gain a lot of information, hopefully. And then last, I'm not aware of any conflicts of interest, so no there. Thank you.
Next slide, please.
What am I answering? Are you going to read the question?
This question is going to start with Joe answering, move back through Terry, then it'll jump to Jim and move back through Bob, and Bob will be the last one to answer this question.
Sorry.
So this is the prepared question number 2. The board responsibilities include the finance, budget, reserves, overseeing facilities and operation, providing direction and instruction to our management company, and much more. Per our CCNRs, only the board can create committees or subcommittees. Tell us one idea for using an ad hoc committee to address a specific issue.
Thank you. I'm Joe Wujek, so I get to speak first this time. In terms of committees, just recently I finalized a plan of committee structure that I think that we could use here. I did post it on Facebook. Hopefully I'll be able to post it elsewhere for everybody to see. There are many committees that I could serve on or that I could help. I think a good ad hoc committee would have to do with facilities. My background is in facilities. I taught building sciences, building structures, and building systems at the university and college level for 40 years. And I also ran a business investigating buildings I investigated over 3,000 buildings in my career. So it would be natural for me to work with an ad hoc committee dealing with facilities. Thank you. Oh, that's right.
I'm
gonna
s-
get in an
I'm s-
exercise.
I'm speaking for Kurt. Question 2. One ad hoc committee I would support is a contract review committee. I would encourage community members with relevant experience and expertise to participate. Given my own extensive experience working with vendor contracts, I would also be interested in helping support this effort.
I'm Linda Garrett, again, for those of you who are online. When I think about an ad hoc committee that we could add to, that would add some value to our community, one of the things that I think about is how we can help to serve each other. And so if we look at the different, we're an aging community when I say, and I'm talking about the people here. And there are some needs that are, that we need as individuals here that we can't get otherwhere, such as transportation, maybe somebody. So I would think that if we had a committee that would look at how we can help each other to live here in the community and enhance our quality of life.
Hello, I'm Roberto Sierra. I think that we need to get some kind of I would like to see a committee or a group that's dedicated to finding ways to get the residents' feedback on issues on a regular basis on all kinds of issues. Right now we get feedback, we've been given opportunities with email surveys on things related to entertainment, a bus trip to go somewhere. Why can't we get those email surveys expanded so that we get questions on a regular basis? Do you want to spend $50,000 on this facility? Do you want to revise the guidelines for the design review? There's no reason we can't get more of those done, and it's really convenient to do it with email surveys. We're doing it now, and to me, a group that's set aside to oversee that effort would be very helpful.
Thank you. I'm Cheryl Page, and I would recommend establishing an ad hoc subcommittee under the Landscape Committee focused on turf maintenance for community beautification. The purpose of this subcommittee would be to help to ensure that our green spaces are restored and maintained to its original standards when Providence was new, including proper dethatching of the grounds where there are bare spots, aeration of that soil, seeding, and then topsoil to make sure that seed can grow. In addition, the subcommittee could work closely with management and landscaping vendors to address ongoing irrigation concerns, including necessary water flow adjustments. Properly managing these issues would help prevent excessive water runoff onto our roadways, which has contributed to significant damage to the roadways throughout our community. Thank you.
Excuse me. Hello, I'm Terry Clark again. Yes, I do have some suggestions for ad hocs. The short-term committee to focus on the computer analysts or analyzing the potential purchase of PCA's own web-based computer program. This will allow the PM the preventative maintenance and control of all of our work orders, resident communications, and lower replacement costs for future repairs listed on the reserve study. A long-term committee comprised of owners to locate landscaping issues and prioritize necessary repairs and possibly finding the location for a dog park that was brought up to us earlier. Thank you.
All right, I'm Jim Corbin again. So committees. I'm a big proponent of committees, especially ad hoc, right? If you look across our community, we have such a diverse group of people that have experience in different fields, and we should put that to use where we can. So the thing that struggles with committees is right now we have about 6 committees, 3 majors, and we can't fill those. So we need people to step up and fill the committees so that we can move on and do others. As far as something I would look at for ad hoc committees, there's 2 items that I would look at fairly soon. One is the use of the cafe area. What are we going to do with that? Can we get somebody else in to staff that, or we do that something else with it? The second is putting a restroom on the 2nd floor. What's the likelihood of that? How do we go about doing it? But those are my 2. Thank you.
Well, that's a hard one to follow. Bathrooms upstairs, that'd be great. I hate to follow Joe, but I think that a maintenance committee, a facility maintenance committee would be very important. I feel that maintenance upkeep and on a preventive basis is a great start, and it'll help with expensive breakdowns that take from our reserve budget. I think it's important to look at our vendors to determine whether we are getting the most for our cash outlay. So, Joe, I agree with you. I think facilities would be a great ad hoc committee.
And I'm just going to let you know that we did not know that Dennis wasn't going to be here today. Had we known, we would have asked him to submit his bio and his questions as well, but we were not aware that he wouldn't be here, so I wanted to let you know that.
This is Deb Malley again. I believe we need a villas subcommittee. The first meet and greet I held was with villa owners who were going back to their primary homes in Canada. And what I heard was that they're not getting what they were promised and what they are paying for. So I really think that we need to have a committee of villa owners who can talk about the problems they're having, and the board can ID those specific issues and come up with workable solutions. Thank you.
I'm speaking on behalf of Bruce. His idea for an ad hoc committee is to create job descriptions for the on-site staff working with CCMC. The members should have some HR background, and the committee would have 1 board member and would report results to the board. The board having these job descriptions would allow them to monitor and grade performance and the need to increase or decrease staffing.
I just wanted to mention Dennis isn't here because his wife has passed, and he's taking care of those arrangements, not because he didn't want to be here. Pardon? Well, I know that people said, what are some of the ideas you want to improve things around here? We just heard about 8 or 10 of them, and great ideas what need to be done, and they can be done. So I do have a subcommittee that I think would be important to be able to staff all these. It's called a recruitment committee. I think that recruitment committee should be under the advisory committee, because we have to reach out to you folks and say, this is the talent we need. These are the things we want to accomplish. We have specifications of what those committees are there to do. So that's what I'd like to see done, because these are all great ideas. Thank you so much.
Okay, next slide, please. Question 3, with Province being over 20 years old, how would you approach updating our amenities while still keeping our dues affordable?
Oh, boy. That's me, right? Thank you. In 1 minute, thank you. My name is Terry Clark again. First, review the agreements of all vendors and streamline our cost and proficiency. Second, do a forensic audit of the HOA funds to see where overspending has occurred and the cost can be cut. Third, ensure that the 3-bid process is followed on all expenditures over $5,000. Fourth, consider combining the villas back into the PCA master plan. This will take the approval of the villa residents, a law firm to investigate, and the terms holding current funds in a CD or bank account until the repairs on the villas will be depleted. That's my suggestion for the villas.
I'm Cheryl Page. This question for updates can be interpreted in 2 ways. Updates means enhancements or additions to the existing amenities. Do I think that we should add additions to the existing amenities? No, not at this time. We have to be fiscally responsible for the community. The first step I would take is to advocate for implementing a comprehensive preventative maintenance program designed to extend the life of our existing infrastructure, including heating, cooling, all the major things. Getting licensed, reliable, proven contractors, at least 3, to come out with these specialties to look, give us bids, tell us what needs to be done in repairs, then doing a forensic audit to see where we stand financially so that we can determine which should be done first. The approach could help us, oh, well, time out.
Roberto Sierra, as far as the amenities, I noticed the question was phrased that in the context of it being 20 years old. I don't think that the age of any particular amenity is significant. I think if it's functional and it's in good condition, then that's something to be considered, not just replacing it because it's old. The other deal is, to me, again, I'm all about getting the general resident population engaged. There's no reason we couldn't have a website that says, vote here if you want to replace the furniture in the particular areas. I don't think that trying to manage our budgets and the idea of keeping it with affordable, let the people decide what's affordable. They're going to pay the bill on their HOA fees. They should have a big voice in what it is that they're going to spend that money on.
Linda Garrett, again. I agree with everything that they say, that you need to make assessment. I think that part of the issue is that we have to start with, as we look at the different amenities that we have, kind of look at, based on the age, how much it costs. And so it's not just one thing that you look at. You have to look at, there's several different factors that we have to look at to determine which one goes first. What do we do first? If we need to make changes, what needs to make changes today, what can wait for 5 years or 10 years.
This is for Kurt. I'd like to take a dual path approach to this. First, I'd want us to closely review the reserve study to ensure the projected usage, timelines, and replacement schedules for major items are realistic and make sense. Second, I'd like us to conduct hands-on inspections of these items to evaluate their actual condition. This would help us prioritize projects appropriately. Ideally, we may find opportunities to delay certain repairs or replacements while still maintaining the high quality of our community amenities and avoiding unnecessary assessment increases. At the same time, we also need to be realistic and recognize that future assessment increases may eventually be necessary. If so, it's better to implement smaller, more affordable increases gradually rather than face much larger increases later.
I'm Joe Wujak, and I would say before we start considering updating our amenities or improving our amenities, that we need to take care of the amenities that we have. There's a lot of evidence dealing with neglected maintenance here, and I think we need to focus on that area. Preventive maintenance is key, and improving efficiency of operations is key. We need to examine the staff here. Do we need them? How can they help us better? We need to give them more guidance than they're receiving. And last, in terms of funding, passing a title transfer fee increase, where every time a home is sold, we actually can receive 4 times what we are receiving today. And I would work on that to fund these before looking at improving amenities. Thank you.
You're up, Bob.
Bob Rutolo here. I think I have to say ditto to what Joe just said. I'm sure that Jim and others will say the same, is that we have some good tools here in the sense that we have to use really well. So like the reserve studies, and we have to look at what's already being done. We also have projections on what our dues will be increased over time. So I think we have to work on what we already have, the amenities we have, bring them up to standard, have a preventive maintenance program in place, and then we can look at new amenities. Right now, it's just to maintain what we have and bring them in good order.
I'm reading for Bruce. A couple of ideas that would help would be allowing the Finance Committee to commit monies longer than 1 year investment to match long-term needs for reserves, which could increase our interest income, which goes into the reserves funds, and a standing committee that's sole focus is in the 2 reserves, matching more closely funds spent from reserves to actual needs and could reduce over expenditures. These 2 items would increase income and reduce expense, helping to hold down the increase in dues and provide dollars to improve the amenities.
This is Deb Malley again. I looked at the amenities in terms of high use versus low use, and I really think that's the way we have to look at how we direct funds. Cosmetic makeovers are relatively inexpensive and have a lot of visual appeal. Also, I think we need to consider getting rid of some low-use amenities, and I'll use the basketball court as an example. Has anybody seen anybody play basketball? I have not. So maybe replacing some low-use amenities with things like a community garden run by residents or a dog park. And these are things that I think would be very beneficial to the residents and they would enjoy. Thank you.
I'd like to address the HOA fees that we're talking about. I think the HO fees need to get under control. I feel as though they're rising too fast for many of our residents living on fixed incomes. I think that I mentioned that preventive maintenance is truly the key to keeping our facilities going. As an engineer, I was very involved in setting up preventive maintenance. So I know the importance of it. And as far as the funding and things, I agree that our reserve funds need to continue to grow, but not necessarily at the cost of our HOA fees rising as much as they are. So, like I said, I think that preventive maintenance is the key to taking care of our amenities.
All right, Jim Corbin. So I think a lot of the candidates up here have said it. So maintenance is the key, right? Keeping things up to date, running without having them go to failure so that we have to replace the entire units when we don't plan to. So that's a big issue. Understanding what our financial stability is in order to support that maintenance plan is something that we also have to understand. Some residents came up to me after the last candidate gathering and talked about fundraisers. Fundraisers are a good idea. There's a lot of things you can do to raise funds around here that we don't utilize that we'd have to look into. I like Joe's idea about putting fees on the homes that are selling. We are definitely below the market on those, and we should raise that up and go do that. And then last, we want resident feedback, right? All of you have great minds out there, so there's a whole source of things that we haven't thought of that you can tell us. So I would look for interest in what you have to tell us. Thank you.
Next slide, please.
You're up.
What do you feel is currently working well to serve the residents of Province today, and why provide one example? What do you feel is the biggest challenge facing Province today, and how would you deal with it?
Bob Rotolo here. One of the things I think is working really well is the program that we have for our residents. This is a very active community. I come through here during the day, the halls are full, people are enjoying themselves, we have good facilities, good program. I think our lifestyles is working well. Doesn't mean we can't be improved, but this is a active adult community, and I believe there's a lot of programming here that's done really well. We have good staff here. I think what they probably need is more direction and more support. We haven't had that before. There's been a separation between the board, that's an absentee board, our management company, and a lot of things have fell through the cracks. So I really think that what we're intending to do with regards to the board taking active part in the leadership of this organization, setting priorities, putting plans in place, getting the involvement of our community to be able to move ahead. Well, that's where we're going.
I'm speaking on behalf of Bruce. Having David Ford monitoring the water quality and fish health is a savings of operating costs, and it would be beneficial to support him with some volunteers that he could train on some of the specifics. The biggest challenge is that there has not been a tight control on the spending of reserve money, which has resulted in larger dues, increases primarily for the villa owners. Any settlement money should have at least 1/3 going to the villas reserved to reduce the need to increase their dues.
This is Deb Malley again. Bob stole some of my thunder with regard to lifestyles. Historically, lifestyles has worked very, very, very well here. We have a lot of different activities. The lifestyle director has planned activities, additional activities such as dances, trips, and that kind of thing. Our new lifestyle director, Michael, has even started soliciting donations from the vendor community that works in Province in order to lower the costs of some of the activities or to provide things like free food or music at different events. What do I think doesn't work well? I'm going to have to call it consistent communication. We need to determine tools to have communication that is consistent to everyone across all channels. Too much communication here takes place via Facebook. That does not serve the community. Thank you.
Well, I wished I'd had time to review these questions. The activities that are provided here at the community are very well organized. I've been to some of the music events, and I honestly don't go on the bus trips, and I don't spend a lot of time down here at the community center. But I do think that they are well taken care of, and I do think that they are well developed. As far as things that I don't think are going well in this community, I really don't have any idea. I think that communication, as Deb said, is an issue, but I don't have any real information on that. So.
Jim Corbin here. So, lifestyle. We've all talked about it. I mean, I think that's the no-brainer one that everybody likes, right? I mean, it's good things. We get a lot of good value out of that. So that would be my plus and go with that. So the question wasn't what I don't like. The question was, what's the biggest challenge moving forward, right? Well, it's right in front of us. It's called a transition, right? That's the biggest thing that we're going to face in quite a while. And it's a daunting task if you haven't been through one. So what I would do to do that, I would elect me and 4 others to take that on. Thank you.
Very good, Jim. You know, we live in a beautiful community. We're darn lucky to live here. I wake up every morning thinking, wow, this is great. And what I see is the positives, the people-to-people interactions that I experience every day. Wonderful people live in this community. When I go to Coffee on the Porch at the Historical Society, they talk about Providence being the premier community in Maricopa. It really is in Arizona, in my view. So those are the things that I embrace and I think we need to continue with. In terms of change, communication is number 1 on my list. I don't think we've been communicated well with the current board. I look for the new board to do a better job. And, you know, in terms of the transition, that's going to be 3 times as necessary to keep everybody informed. So communication is important.
I'm speaking for Kurt. I think the landscaping services have been excellent. Whenever friends or family visit our home, they comment on how beautiful Providence looks. It's a strong selling point for the community and also something I personally appreciate whenever I go for a run or bike ride here. The biggest challenge in my view is managing our finances responsibly and frugally, both within the operating budget and the reserve fund. With many community members living on fixed incomes, we need to focus on minimizing assessment increases whenever possible. If increases are necessary, we should strive to maintain affordability while still providing sustainable, high-quality services.
Again, this is Linda Garrett. One of the things that attracted me to Providence was the cleanliness when I first moved here in 2014. And that was one of the things, and how well kept the community is, and if we can continue to do that. What I've seen as an issue for us that's growing is getting out of Providence through the front gate. That light, if you're making a left turn out of there, we need a turn signal now.
Roberto Sierra, I've noticed, it seems to me that one of the high points of our organization here is the activities management is just through the roof. There's just so many things that so many people can get to be involved in. I mean, I certainly fit the stereotype of engineers being socially inept, but for everybody else who, you know, likes to go out and have fun, there's plenty of things to do. As far as what I think could be done better, there's nothing in place right now that I'm aware of that lets the residents have direct input to management. I think the residents pay the bills. The residents are the boss. The resident is the customer. The resident should be directing management on a regular basis in a way that's standard operating procedure. And right now, I don't think there's anything in place for residents to say, hey, here's what we want.
I'm Cheryl Page again, and one of our best strengths is right here that I'm looking out to us, the community. With our social programs, our clubs, our events, These weekly and monthly opportunities keep residents engaged and connected, and there's always something to do in Province. At the same time, we need better communication so we can understand and communicate to the board exactly what we feel needs to be done, and we can stay informed to make informed decisions. But at the same time, one of the biggest challenges we face is ensuing the long-term financial stability of our community. We must find responsible ways to strengthen our reserve funds while minimizing the financial impact of the residents. Doing so will ensure that we can properly maintain and preserve the amenities and lifestyles that made Province such a desirable place to live, both now and for its future.
Again, my name is Terry Clark. What's good with it, everybody? We have two common denominators. We have Roxy and Michael. They've done a great job with the entertainment end of this community. We lived through some really lean times with our other individuals. The challenge of lack of communication and accountability. This can be improved through an email blast on Fridays, provided an email address to go right to the board. And the board will monitor this. Each board member will take a turn at that email address and communicating up to the rest of the board members. This can be accomplished by using an ad hoc committee and their recommendations of the computer system and fix the areas that are not operating at full potential. Meaning, we take everything you're coming in, we filter through it, and then we give a feedback. I think the communication is our issue.
Thank you. Next slide, please.
You're going to start.
The next slide, we're going to go ahead and start with Terry this time, and we'll be ending with Bob. The question is, provide one example of a difficult situation you faced when working as a team member and how the team resolved it. And provide one idea of how you would recommend communicating bad news, such as an increase on dues or a special assessment to the community. Go ahead, Terry.
Boy, that question needs a lot more time than a minute. The BOD is faced with water conservation mandate to retrofit the green belts and lessen the footprint regarding the cost. This was accomplished by researching the cost analysis for the conservation. GW Global Water Grants, cost of water savings, announcing the reason for changes to the community and approval of the city to convert the areas with plans attached. Each person needs to focus on the end result, not the personalities, to be cognizant of the tone and volume when discussing issues and explain to the residents the needs of the community. The dues increasing have always been a problem. By communicating with the residents prior to reaching the alternatives by the BOD has helped. PCA BOD and our members too, those people will be affected by their own decisions. It's this team's benefit to strive to keep the dues as low as possible. Communicate.
Cheryl Page again. And with conflicts of teams, I've had them many times before in the past, being a team supervisor, and I have to remind people that you need to be open to listen to your other team members' point of views and come to a conclusion that will help the team come to a conclusion that is equitable and agreeable for all team members. There has never been an I in team. At the same time, what's important when we have to give difficult news must be communicated to the community. It should be shared through multiple channels to ensure all residents are informed. This should include publications in BERT, an email blast to residents, and also at points, a mailing. Because some residents, because of,
Roberto Sierra. I was on a awkward situation once with a committee, as a team, where I was in direct conflict with my immediate supervisor on an engineering solution. And the way I handled it, I just wrote down my position on I put a paper together that people could take after the meeting and read my reasoning, and they could decide for themselves if my solution was the one to go with. As far as how we could deliver bad news like increases in the fees, I would say let the residents be in the loop of where the money's being spent. If they're partially responsible for their choices on where the money is spent, they're going to be able to accept the news, the bad news that here's the bill. You guys want to spend money, or if you want to restrain yourselves, there's a benefit in either way, and they should just be included for that. That makes it easy to deliver.
This is Linda Garrett again. And an example of a difficult situation that I had when working in a team, one that comes to mind is when I had a team member and I who disagreed on how we should handle something together. And I think that it's about hearing the other person, collaborating, and being willing to give up something. Sometimes you may not get your way. We may be right, but there's not always just one right. And so I think when you talk about communication, that's one of the things that's important, is being able to listen to other people, hear their side, and walk in their shoes.
I'm speaking for Kurt. One of my responsibilities at work is coordinating with journalists and members of the media during new vehicle launch events. In one instance, an employee behaved in a very unprofessional manner at an event in Montana. I immediately took the next available flight to the location and addressed the situation on site. I removed the employee from the situation entirely and personally managed the event to reassure attendees and address concerns directly. Safety, customer service, technical expertise, and clear communication are essential, and I do not compromise on those standards. When communicating difficult news such as assessment increases, transparency is critical. I would support increasing access to all board and committee members through Zoom or Microsoft Teams so residents can attend even if they are unable to participate in person. This would help ensure the discussions leading up to difficult decisions are visible and understood well in advance. I would also prioritize keeping residents informed through every available
I could think of many examples. One that comes to mind when I was president of our HOA. We had a member who did not pay dues. For 10 years, the board kicked the can down the road. Our board decided to look at it, but still there were people in the community as well as board members who didn't want to pursue payment. We talked to an attorney. The attorney said we'd lose our covenants if we didn't go after them. We did. I had to go to over a dozen homes to speak with the homeowners and explain to them why we were assessing them. The good thing is we won. The judge issued a summary judgment, and we were able to refund the money that we collected. In terms of what I learned, you need to stay on top of things and let the community know what's going on right from the very beginning. Communication, like in many instances, is key. Thank you.
All right, Jim Corbin. I'm going to go off script again like I do so often. So I'm going to tell you the bad news part first. So how I would handle the bad news about something is, anybody hear the adage that bad news doesn't get better over time? Right? So if the board thinks there's something that's not going to be good, they should start telling the residents as early as possible. They should solicit information back, because again, there's a lot more ideas out there than will be sitting at a table up here. So that's the way I would approach bad news, because you can find a lot of good answers if you just talk to people and get their feedback. As far as an example, my last community in Buckeye, we were 4,600 homes. We were a mixed community. We had a younger board, and a couple of people on the board wanted to put workout stations along our walking trail. So we had several meetings about the multi-thousands of dollars that would have cost us, and in the end, after resident input, the board agreed that that was not worthwhile for what we would get out of use for the price we would pay for it.
Okay, I'm going to talk about a time when I was on the board of directors of our water board, and we had a disagreement between our board members on a price hike. And we ended up having to go to the community and asking the community to have input on it. And with the input from the community, we were able to come to a consensus that made sense for everybody. So I think that getting input from other people is important in coming to a good resolution. As far as delivering bad news, I think that giving as much information as to why something is raising is important. When I get my new HOA bill, I just look at it and I go, why is it so much?
This is Deb Malley again. The difficult situation I encountered was when I was the managing editor of Province Life. Our printer had raised our printing expenses by 30% over 6 months. So I called the committee together and said, what are we going to do about this? So we came up with 3 potential solutions. One of them was to raise advertising rates. Well, that's not so good because you can lose advertisers. For those of you that don't know, the excess of advertising income over our expenses goes into the reserve fund. And we really didn't want to have less money going into the reserve fund. So the third option was to change printers. We successfully did that, and we wound up sending an additional $1,500 a month to the reserve fund. For a difficult, I'm sorry, thank you. With regard to delivering bad news, you know, it's communication. Sorry, thank you.
I'm speaking on behalf of Bruce. While in the Army, I was assigned to a mobile nuclear mission platoon, and during a break for lunch when I was off-site, the officer had a cleaning crew loosen a clamp which allowed the missile to slip off its base. The missile was horizontal and raised to vertical during the firing sequence. The incident required reporting to European Command we were off status. When I returned, I took command and put together a crew of 6, one at each of 4 contact points, crane operator, myself directing, and working as a coordinated group, lift the missile with a crane and refasten to the base without damaging the nuclear warhead, and then run a firing program part-way to bring the missile back on status. I've had the opportunity to announce bad news via the Finance Committee, increasing of dues the past 2 years. To make the bad news more palatable, we explained how the number was arrived at and what we had done to reduce the increase to the smallest number possible.
Bob Rotolo here. Can't beat that, Bruce. That's really good. How to deal with conflict in the sense of situations. Usually what I try to do in my own specific personal situations is seek to understand before being understood. In other words, understand where that other party is coming from and be able to also focus on what are we trying to accomplish. And many times one way to get that is to get people to write it out. If you write it out, then you have facts to be able to base it on, and you know different perspectives, you can deal it from there. How to work with bad news. Bad news is the eyes of the beholder. Why is it bad news? Is it something that we had different expectations? And if so, why? What can we learn from that? So it's really looking at things as a learning opportunity and how we fix it, how we work together. So that's how I would approach it. Thank you.
We're going to start this next question.
Next slide, please. Question 6. Province Community Association has 12 months after transition to notify and negotiate with Meritage to pay or recoup for items already paid by PCA that we believe are the developer's responsibility. Provide one example of an item you would include on that list and why.
Well, one example, I think it's probably many examples. This is what our work is going to be over the next 3 to 4 months, is organize ourselves around the information that's available and dig it out and put together a plan. But I think one of the things that's very apparent to many people here is our roads and what can be done about it and who shares in that. So I really think our rolling up our sleeves, doing our homework, and putting our negotiating hats on, understanding the different positions that we're in, and just going to work at it. And we'll come up with some reasonable resolve in doing this. So.
I'm speaking on behalf of Bruce. Meritage did not finish constructing the water runoff from Porter Street according to the approved plan by the City of Maricopa. This has resulted in a water runoff that killed fish in the springtime lake and will continue to do so until corrected. The runoff should have been directed to the green belt to avoid sending pollutants into the lake. The costs of fixing the situation would be easier to obtain for negotiation by getting the contractor bids to fix the problem.
This is Deb Malley again. I think it's incumbent upon Meritage to fix the roads. Their heavy equipment is what wrecked them. There's no two ways about it. So and they've made money from us. So it's incumbent upon them to fix the roads. Thank you.
Well, I'm not familiar with the number of the items that we have to deal with Meritage, but the roads are definitely one that have been mentioned before. But I think that negotiating with Meritage is going to be an issue, that the HOA board is going to have to definitely sit down with some attorneys and go do some work to get those things that have been not taken care of.
Jim Corbin here. Here's a surprise for you. I'm going to go a little bit off a different direction. So, having gone through this process before, my answer is I don't think I would tell you anything new from what you've heard at other meetings. And the reason why is I don't believe the board should tip their hand too fast so that Meritage gets winds of what you're working on, right? Because they have a whole team of lawyers and folks that are going to start trying to figure out how to come back with that. So I will answer the question with the common stuff, roads, roof for the common areas here, you know, all those kind of things. Those are out there, they know about them, that's what we're going to come with. But the other ones we need to keep in our pocket until it's time to negotiate, because that doesn't happen on day one, right? Negotiation starts a month or two down the road, and it'll start short and it'll grow all the way up until it's done, if it gets done within the 12 months. Thank you.
I'm Joe Wujek. I have quite a bit of background in terms of examining buildings. I look around here and I have list after list after list of things that need to be improved, repaired, or replaced. And the reserve study listed 77 items that we should take care of this year, $2.4 million. Does that mean we need to take care of them? Not necessarily, but we need to look at them. We should take these lists and, of course, pursue at least some reimbursement from Meritage. The roads are mentioned. I actually did a study of the roads back in 2024, and so Meritage is aware of the issue with the roads. We also have the indoor pool. We have issues with the roof, issues with the rafter tails that extend from this building, maintenance in general, and I could go on and on and on. So we need to make a list.
I'm speaking for Kurt. The issue I'm most concerned about is the condition of the roads and parking lots. Meritage needs to be held responsible for repairing any damage caused by their construction activities. While the PCA has not yet paid for all of these repairs, we need to ensure that both current and future repair costs related to this damage are fully covered.
Hello, Linda Garrett again. And I agree with the rest of the people who are on this platform. And I think that the roads are definitely something that needs to be addressed by Meritage. And if any of the buildings that are shared spaces that they were in control of need to be addressed, then they should be the ones to pay for it. I'm not currently aware of what they are responsible for, but I think that we need to look at that and then hold them responsible for whatever they are.
Roberto Sierra, I didn't know that the roads were that big of an issue myself. I don't get out much, as you might have guessed, but I did look at the reserve study, the fund study, and by far the roads are the biggest ticket on there. If we're going to have to try and motivate Meritage to come through on agreements that they should have taken care of, it would be the roads. Those were in the $700,000 range for all the repairs of the paving. Everything else was in tens of thousands. So if we're going to win a battle, I'd rather it be the big one, and that's going to make the biggest impact on our, fees and stuff like that.
I'm Cheryl Page, and I too agree with the roads. The maintenance of the roads was a very cheap, quick fix. I think we could have used much better materials, and our roads would not have eroded as bad as they would. But I believe Providence should be reimbursed for the costs associated with constructing the new lakes and the last development done that were not on the original plan of Providence. I don't think that we should have, the residents of Providence should have the burden of these costs that were never paid back to us when only a few who bought these lake lots and also at the time paid premiums to the developer. This was strictly for the marketing abilities of the sale of homes for the developer. They took the benefit. It's time they gave it back to the people. Oh, yeah, sorry, sir.
Again, my name is Terry Clark. The Reserve Fund study uncovered a $10 million deficit not discovered in prior studies. The lakes, or evaporation ponds for global water storage at PCA expense. The agreement was signed by Meritage BOD in 2013. Meritage knew of the issue would impact PCA negatively. This cost needs to be the responsibility of Global Water, CCMC, and Meritage. They need to be held accountable for their lack of communication on the work being done on the reserve. Whoops, lost my space. The reserve fund studies deferred maintenance items and share the neglect of their responsibility. I've been working on this thing for the last 2 years, and PCA is aware, our Meritage, CCMC, are aware of this global water. We get to pay for everything. They get free storage, we pay for it. That's what I'm getting back. I'm going to be working on it on August 6th.
Next slide, please.
Okay, that's our questions that the folk here as candidates were given and they prepared answers for. On the 28th, the same thing is going to happen, but they will have different questions that they will have to respond to. We've got your resident questions that you guys have passed up. Want you to know some of them were duplicates of what has already been answered, and some of them may not get answered today for the simple reason that have a time constraint. But that doesn't mean that what we'll do is like save them for the next meeting. So you need to come to the next meeting as well to find out more information. It won't be a duplicate of this particular meeting.
Now we're going to draw names for who is going to answer each question here. So we hopefully can get some of the people who didn't have a chance to answer first to be the one answering the question.
You want to do the microphone? Draw a name.
And the first name I've drawn is Deb.
Okay, Deb, what should our reserve be and how do you plan on getting it there? Now, they didn't put it here, but
I'm sorry, Linda, could you please repeat the question?
what should our reserve be and how you plan on getting it there? Now, they didn't put it here, but we've got the villas and we have the homes. So I guess you probably would have to answer that separately, because we've got two neighborhoods here.
If there is a wrong person to ask this question of, it's me. I'm not going to kid anybody into thinking I'm a financial person. And I will say that probably almost everybody else on this board has more financial expertise than I do. I would certainly be relying on other board members and members of the Finance Committee to appropriately answer this question.
Does anybody else on the candidate group here have anything to add to that? Okay, Joe? And then Linda. But again, 30 seconds or less.
You keep cutting it short. I believe ideally that we would be funded up to 70%. Will we achieve that? Probably not. The level that the village is funded at is much lower. We need to pay attention to that. And we can do so by passing, when it's up for vote, to increase that title transfer fee. That's going to bring about $300,000 extra into our community. So that would be a start.
Okay, then we'll go to Linda here, and then we will go to the next resident question.
Yeah. This is Linda Garrett again. And I think that when we look at how we're going to fund something, we have to look at first, not a dollar amount, but like he said, it's a percentage of what needs to be funded so that we have the funds. The funds do need to be available, but I don't think you can just pull something out of the air and say this is how much money we need.
Okay, the next name that we chose actually was Linda again, so take it back to... Oh, Terry, did you have something? I didn't see you raise your hand.
No, that's good. Go ahead.
No, okay. Okay, Linda, the next question we have here, with a community this size, how can we save money and maintain the beauty of Province landscape?
Well, so with the community of this size, I think it takes all of us, all of you, working together to keep the community functioning well, looking good. It's, being, making sure that you're doing your part in the community for your property, and then taking care of those out areas. We have to fund it. It's going to cost money. It's not free.
Okay, Terry? Anybody else have anything else to say on that?
Thank you. That's my expertise. I've worked in the landscaping area now for the last 13 years while I worked on that other HOA. I've been working silently throughout this community. Right now, I'm not one of their favorite individuals because I keep turning in these work orders on their BERT system. And there's a lot of information that can be gleaned out of there. But the big problem is they're not going out and utilizing the 3-bid process on $5,000 or more, where the BOD has to get involved, and they're just arbitrarily putting them out there.
And Joe wanted to respond.
First off, like we've talked about, preventive maintenance is something that is critical. When you implement a preventive maintenance program, you end up saving money. I have experience with implementing programs like that in facilities, and normally you see a 10% or thereabouts decrease in operating costs. So I think that's one thing that we could do. Also, rely upon volunteers in the community. I like the idea of a program that I call Pride in Province, which would involve all of you. Okay.
Okay, the next question we have Jim. This should be an easy one for you, Jim. What percentage of time are you off-site traveling?
What percentage of time? As much as possible.
That's the question.
So my wife and I normally take one vacation a year, and that's to Maui. And it's normally a 3-week time period, and it varies on month to month, depending if our kids are going, our grandkids are going, because we got to work around schools and everything. So other than that, the only thing that takes up my time is my wife's been going through cancer treatments in 2017. She just started a new trial on her health in Scottsdale, and so that's the only thing that takes my time, but that's normally only a day or two a month.
Anybody else want to respond?
Terry says yes
picked one.
down there.
Go ahead, Terry.
Thank you. My wife and I, we go visit. Our biggest issue is we go to Peoria to visit our great-grandkids. That and over to California. I'm sorry we have to go to California, but that'd be the only time that we'd be vacant or empty, or I can't even say it right, not available.
Okay. Next question, we have Cheryl. How will the new board of directors affect HOA dues?
Again, we all have skin in the game. Most of us are all on fixed incomes. So any rise in the dues is going to affect us all, and us included. So I would look at what we can do away with and cut the excess fat, and then I would look to see which way, and this would be through the entitlement transfer, could up our reserve funds from 1 quarter to 1 yearly dues. That would be able to keep our
Time.
time, sorry.
Hold on. How will the new board of directors affect HOA dues?
How will we affect HOA dues? Well, I would hope that we were going to affect them in a positive way, because if not, we're probably not getting reelected, right? So the goal of the board is going to be to do everything they can to keep you guys happy, especially if we want to return election. So I think we would look at, ways to cut costs. I think there's a lot of them out here. Just like I said, walking around, I see a lot of waste, and I'm used to that from the government, right? The government wastes a little bit, right? But there is a lot of waste here that we could fix.
Bob?
Bob?
Bob Rotolo here. I just want to reiterate what Joe and others have said here. One of the good things that we have being a board is that this place has not been operating very efficiently and effectively. That's to our favor. However, we don't do it overnight. But I think putting the right committees together, we've talked about communication as an issue. Communication is a byproduct of not having good structure and people not having clear roles and responsibilities and accountabilities. We need to change that.
Okay, the next question we're going to go to, actually, Bob, we picked your name, so you are next. How will you deal with controversy, disagreement at board meetings?
Matter of fact, I would encourage it. Controversy is a good thing. Different opinions is a good thing. It's how we manage it and how we are working together. Mutual respect, having core values that we believe in, all striving for the same thing. So get that right, and then expect putting in, I mean, it's really pretty easy. You put in ground rules so we talk, and we govern each other. So I look forward to it, because if not, we won't get the best out of ourselves and be able to provide the best service to you people. Thank you.
Anybody else want to respond to that? Roberto?
I don't know if I would want to classify it as controversy, but I think as far as the board's interaction, I would want to see different views and different assessments from what I have. I don't want to have everybody being on board with the same concept or the same solution. I want to hear different things that I might have overlooked. I'm sure I'm not going to think of everything, and I know other people have different experiences and talents, and I want to benefit from that, to hear their views.
Okay, and Joe wanted to have a word? Then we'll go to the next question.
Joe Wujek, I think we have a great opportunity here. And over the last few weeks, I've gotten to know most of the people up here on stage. I'm not at all worried about any of them meeting together, putting their heads together, and accomplishing what is good for the community. Thank you.
Okay, the next name we pulled was Roberto. Okay. What are your thoughts about the current vendor agreements?
About what?
Current vendor agreements, such as maintenance, such as security, such as, I don't know, what else is there? Yeah, lands, yeah, that would be, yeah.
Well, I don't have any particular opinion on any of the agreements right now. I would just say that I think all the agreements should be looked at. They should be eligible for review. I think that the people, again, I'm not going to stop harping on this. The residents are cutting the checks. I don't want my money spent by a committee if I don't get to have some input on that. And if we can get a way for the residents to be involved in the loop, it's going to help.
Okay, Terry is next.
Thank you. Again, it's Terry. With first order of business, we must get our hands on all these agreements. We have to know what they're going to have to be performance-based. Every one of these agreements have to be performance-based. And we all know they're not. We can tell by the way our community is being managed right now. It's up to us to make sure those are addressed, be performance-based, and enforce them. Make it our community.
I agree with Terry. I've had an opportunity to glance through the contracts, and they are not performance-based. I would, at the very least, add an addendum to each of the agreements which included performance criteria, so that we could go out there and everyone knows what we're interested in.
Okay, I am going to ask a question that I'd like each of the candidates to answer, because somebody wrote here and they said all. They want to know, are any of you behind or ever have been on your HOA dues? Or any fines in the province?
Yeah, that's part of the criteria for running.
The person wants to know, are any of you behind or ever have been on HOA dues, liens, or fines in province? Is that a yes, no?
Well, I was going to answer it, but
Okay,
we
go ahead.
Microphone, or are we just talking? We just talking? So, no, I've lived in 3 HOAs in the last 20 years, and I've not been behind in had any liens in any of the communities I've been in. So I'm a star performer. Thank you.
Okay, so let it be noted that nobody up here says they have ever been behind, or, okay? And it's 4 o'clock, so it is time. And again, we will be going through the resident questions. Some of them, like I said, have already been answered, and some of them may be incorporated in the new questions that we ask the individuals next time. And we thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.